Lost my mom in a house fire at 16 and got placed in foster care because my wealthy uncle didn't want me. Then, uncle's wife showed up wanting custody and revealed the real reason. My uncle abandoned me. The firefighters wouldn't let me go back inside. I stood on the lawn, barefoot, watching my entire life burn at 2 in the morning. My mom was still in there. I could hear her screaming my name from the second floor before the roof collapsed, and then I couldn't hear anything anymore. A neighbor wrapped a blanket around me while strangers held me back. The funeral was small because my mom didn't have many people. She worked double shifts at a textile factory and spent every day off with me. That was her whole world. Afterward, a social worker named Darlene explained that since my father was never in the picture, they needed to find a legal guardian or I'd enter foster care. I told her I had an uncle. My mom's brother, Everett, lived 40 minutes away in a 6-bedroom house with a pool and a 3-car garage. He owned a chain of auto dealerships, and his wife, Pauline, drove a white Range Rover. We used to see them at holidays, but my mom and Everett had some falling out when I was around 10, and we stopped going to family gatherings. Mom never explained why, she just changed the subject whenever I asked. Darlene called Everett that afternoon. I sat in her office watching her face shift from professional to confused to something close to disgusted. She hung up and looked at me carefully. Your uncle has declined to take custody. What do you mean, declined? He said he's not in a position to take on a teenager right now. Not in a position? 6 bedrooms and more money than my mom made in 10 years? I went into foster care that week. The first home was fine, but I slept on a pullout in the basement. I went to a new school where nobody knew me and ate lunch alone every day. At night, I'd replay that sound. The roof collapsing, the silence after. 3 months in, I got moved to a second home, then a third. Each one more temporary than the last. I stopped unpacking my bag completely because what was the point? 7 months after the fire, Darlene called saying someone wanted to see me. I assumed it was a new placement. Instead, Pauline walked into the office, my uncle's wife. She looked different from how I remembered. Thinner, tired. She'd been crying because her eyes were swollen and red. She sat across from me and didn't speak for a long time. Then she said, I didn't know. Didn't know what? That Everett refused you. He told me you chose to stay in foster care. Said you were angry at the family and didn't want to live with us. My chest went tight. He said I chose this? I believed him for 7 months. I kept asking why you wouldn't come and he always had an answer. You were adjusting. You needed space. You blamed us for not being closer to your mom. None of that is true. I know that now. She pulled a folder from her bag. Inside were legal papers, bank statements, and a handwritten letter. Your mom had a life insurance policy, Pauline said quietly. $250,000. You were the sole beneficiary, but since you were a minor, the payout required a legal guardian to manage the funds. She pointed to a line on the document. Everett contacted the insurance company 3 days after the funeral, told them he was your guardian. They sent the check to his address. He took my money, deposited it into a private account. He's been using it to cover losses at 2 dealerships that have been bleeding money for a year. That's why he refused custody. If he took you in officially, the court would appoint a financial overseer for your inheritance. He couldn't steal from you with someone watching. The letter at the bottom was from my mom, written years ago and kept with the policy addressed to Everett. If anything happens to me, please take care of my baby. She's all I have and you're all she has. I know we haven't spoken, but you're still my brother. Please don't let her be alone. Pauline was crying now. He read this letter and still turned you away? My mom had planned for me. Even in death, she tried to protect me and her own brother intercepted everything. Pauline grabbed my hand. I filed for emergency custody and hired a lawyer this morning. I'm also reporting Everett for fraud and misappropriation of a minor's funds. She squeezed harder. You're coming home with me tonight. What about Everett? Everett can explain himself to a judge. I took her hand. Pauline filed for divorce 2 weeks later. The court froze his accounts and recovered every dollar.